Hi, Chad from Blueberry Ridge Outdoors. We're back in the shop today. I want to fix the trolling motor. So I have a Minn Kota Terrova with autopilot. One of the bushings in the steering is broke, so I'm going to replace that today. So I'm going to replace the whole steering housing. This is what's broke. That piece right there. So when you go to turn left and right, you want to skip. It doesn't have a perfect notch in there. It's cracked off to the side, so it wants to wander back and forth, and that's a pain in the butt when you're trying to troll. So I'm going to replace the whole steering housing today. So let's get some tools and let's get after it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the side plates off. It's a number 3 Phillips head. So there's one right here. There's one right here. And this is the other side. This side plate, you just slide up the wire a little ways just so it's out of your way. That should be far enough. Now we're going to take the head off and disconnect all the wires off the head. So these are just a number 2 Phillips head. Okay, once you get those 4 screws out, then you just pop the head off. It's nice and easy. So then you'll be able to see all your wires. It's actually pretty simple. Alright, I'll show you what you got to unhook and how we're going to slide this out the shaft. Okay, so we have the brown wire. So we don't want to run this through the shaft. It's going to be too big. This is the inline fuse. So we're going to have to cut this. There's a connector in here. So the brown wire needs to be disconnected, but we need to cut the shrink tube here. We need to unhook this. This is for the puck down there for the depth finder. So that just unscrews. That just comes apart. And we need to take these 2 apart. These are just covers over here. So black to black, red to red, pretty simple here. So you don't have to mark nothing here. Pull the insulation up towards the head, so you don't have to pull that through the shaft. Okay, so we got these 2 done. Now we just got to cut the shrink tubing off of here and disconnect this. And we'll be ready to disassemble it some more. So just be careful when you cut this shrink tubing, always cut away from the wire. You don't want to cut the wire, that would be bad. That would take a relatively simple fix and make it a lot harder. So I'm just going to take my utility knife, just direct it away from the wire. So watch your fingers. Now you are going to need to get some shrink tubing to replace this shrink tubing. Obviously, you're going to want to put it back like it was. Keep everything watertight here. Just like that. And just pull that back. Disconnect that. We're good to go. So just remember black to brown, black to black here, red to red here, and then obviously this is pretty self-explanatory. Alright, let's take this head off here and go to the next step. So then to take the head off, that's just another number 2 Phillips. gonna wiggle this. Now you can see in there, that bolt went all the way through there. Now that's out of there. Now we can just wiggle the head off. And push the wires, let the wires come through it. Very carefully. Just like that. You can just let this kind of hang down here for the time being. And now we can slip this off. This off. Set that off to the side. So now I'm just going to release it. Pull it out a little ways. There it is. So you can see the lift assist. So this is the lift assist part right here. We got to disconnect it down here first. So we're going to have to be really careful. We're going to take that puck off of there, leave it attached somewhat. So let me go get a screwdriver and we'll take that apart. So now there's 4 little screws in here. Okay, we're going to take the back half off. Take these 2 screws out. Very carefully. There's a lot of tension on here. I cannot stress this enough. But there's a screw holding it in. See? So if we let this go, it'll still stop there. Okay? So long as this screw is tight, so we're going to make sure it's tight, which it is, it's tight, so this shouldn't come off. So we're going to let this go back up, or we're going to hold on to it very carefully. We're going to let this go back up to here. Okay, so now that that is not attached, we'll be able to pull the shaft right out, and the spring assist will stay right on the housing that we're going to replace. Okay? Alright, now let's pull the shaft out. Okay, now we'll just release it again and pull the shaft out. Just be careful that nothing here catches. It'll ruin your wires. Just like that. Here we are. Now's the most important part. We're going to take the spring assist. We're going to take that screw off here. Hopefully you can see that. Now when you take this screw off and you take this puck off, it's going to fly through there, so you got to really hold on to it. You just got to loosen it. You don't have to take it completely off. Just loosen that up. Let's put it this way. If I let go of this, it's going to be a bad day for Chad. So now we're going to grab this top portion Grab it like you mean it. We're going to slide it right out. It's got a lot of tension on it. So here we go. We still have our tail sticking out. Now we're going to put this back on there very carefully. And hook that back up. And we're going to tighten that screw down so nothing bad happens. See that screw? Just sits in that notch. And tighten that right up nice and tight on there. And there's your spring assist. Still intact. So we're good to go. Now we can set this off to the side. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to push the pedal down. I'm going to disengage this. Now we got this up. So this is free. Now we just have to pull this pin and unhook these wires. So now we have to take this. We have to take this cover off to get to the wires. So in order to get this cover off, there's a little indent right here. You just push here, you push in the middle, on the back side, push in and lift up. And that comes off. And we got to get these two wires disconnected. Just be careful when you take this off. There's a lot of wires under here. So these are the two we got to take off to replace this. So we'll pop this grommet out of here and get them wires through there. So just twist and pull. They come right off. When you put it back, black to black, white to white, simple. So to get this grommet out, there's a little tab on the bottom. You got to get it from the back side. You push this pin in, or this little plastic piece in with the screwdriver, and you push up out of the casing, and it pops right out. So in order to keep this bar up out of the way, what I did is I pushed down on here, and I set a big piece of metal on top of it to hold that down. So then that keeps this up off this shaft so I can get at it decent. So now that we got this shaft done, I can take this off of there. Look what's going to happen. See, and then it settles down on that shaft. It has to be a pretty heavy duty piece of metal to sit down on there, but see, that gave us some extra room, which is always nice. Okay? So to get this pin out, we're just going to get in here and peel this little keeper back with a screwdriver. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm struggling with this one. So what I did is I got this hook tool, just a little hook tool, and I've been coming from the back side with that hook, right where there is a metal catch, and just back and forth with a screwdriver behind it. This is what I found works the best. It was a pain in the butt to get started. Like I said, if you ruin it, it's not a big deal. You have these at the hardware store. Go down to Ace or whatever hardware store you got. Behind it where there's metal tabs, and try to bend them tabs up to release it. Otherwise it gouges into the shaft every time. A lot of the videos on YouTube aren't going to show you this because they struggle off the camera. I'm showing it to you real life. There, I got it off. So once I got it out quite a ways with a screwdriver and that pick tool, what I did is I just used a pry bar and popped it off of there. I'll be going down to the hardware store getting a new one just so I make sure that it's going to be nice and snug when I put it all back together. Okay, you got to be careful in case when you take out this other side, there's a burr on there. You better clean it off before you go through. Otherwise, it ain't gonna go through very good. By trying to take that keeper off over here, I got a burr on there, so I cleaned it up, and it came out. Just put that there. This comes right out. Once I got the gearbox out, I could not get that grommet off of that wire. So I'm going to show you what it looks like once it's taken apart, so you can not struggle with what I just struggled with. So here we're going to get a little in close. So it's got a little tab here that opens up. See how hard that was on that wire, how it crimped that wire? The grommet is really on there. So this is just like a little, it snaps shut inside there. This is what it looks like inside. But it's got this little keeper right here that snaps. And it's like a door. It's like a hinge here. So that clamps the wire in there. So you can see when that snaps shut, that isn't going anywhere. So to unsnap it, you got to get a screwdriver right in here and twist it open. Being careful not to break any of these tabs that hold it in place. So I hope that saves you some frustration, because I was truly frustrated, and it has to come off. The new one does not come with it, so you have to take it off and put it on the new one, or you got to buy a new one. So if I were you and I was doing this again, when you see this little piece, buy it. I'm sure it's only like $1 or $2. Just buy a new one and bust this one off the old one, or leave it on the old one. Just put a new one on the new one. All right? Just a little tip. All right, let's get that new one back on. So just to show you, there's a few things you got to take off the old one and put on the new one if you don't buy all new parts. So they do not come with these bushings I'm going to show you. So here's what was wrong with the old one. This was broke. Obviously, this is what it's supposed to look like. Let me see if I can get this out of here. A nice square groove there. The old one obviously was busted out, so that was my fault. So that's what started this whole project. So to put the new one together, we're going to have to take these bushings out of the old one. There's one on each side. So these bushings, and we put these in the new one. Just push them in. They kind of act as a spacer. Again, I think you can buy these brand new. I was not aware of that, so learn from my mistakes. They come out real easy, and they're in good shape, so they should be fine, but just so you know. And then we're going to turn this the same direction as the old one, and we're going to measure that, and we're going to put that clip in that same spot again. So the old one was right at about 8 inches. So that's where we're going to put this one, right at about 8 inches. That really clamps on there. Holy crap. So just make sure you got it the right way. Obviously, that's the top. So it sits on the trolling motor like this. And then that grommet goes in there like that. So it's perfect. Same distance as the other one. Line them up. So, yep, that should be perfect. All right. Now we got these We got the bushings from both sides on the new one, and we got the grommet on the new one. Those are the two things you're gonna have to take off the old one. So the old one, we took the grommet off, and we took these bushings out. So now this one is ready to go back on the boat. All right, let's take it over there. So I put a light coating of grease on the pin here. I'm just gonna work the pin through. Just like that. I'm gonna go get a keeper for that, put a new keeper on it, clean that grease off the end here. So to get this new keeper started, what I did, the vice grips on the backside on the part of the shaft where you're not gonna need to get the keeper off on this opposite side. So if I mar the shaft a little bit here, it's not a big deal because the shaft is coming out this way. So to put it on, I just put that so I could tap against it. So that's nice and rigid. And I came over here with a 10mm deep well socket and I got it started. Now I can set it on there and tap it with one hand and hold the big sledge on the backside till it gets snug. I can take the vice grips off. Like I said before, hold the sledge here. Back here, see it? Hold the sledge against that and just tap this on. Just like that. Now we just got to hook up the wires to this piece here. So we feed these through here. There we go. There, it snapped down in there. See? Just like factory now. Good to go. Now we just hook black to black, white to white. Nice and snug. White to white, black to black. Get all your wires under here nice. Out of the way. And again, it just snaps down on there. Just like that. Okay, it's time to put the lift assist back on. So this is the tricky part again. Here we are. There's that screw that's keeping it all in place. You got to pull out enough slack to get through here and to put it on the bottom. You got to thread it through here, okay? Here goes nothing. Okay, I was sick of fighting with it, so what I did is I taped a file to it. I'm going to take this off, okay? Run it down through here really carefully. Hook this on the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to tighten this up before I do anything else so I don't lose it. Okay, now we're on there. Now all I got to do is cut the bottom tape, cut the top tape, take the file out. And trust me, wear some big padded gloves when you work with this spring. It will kick your butt. So we got that one off. Now we can pull the file up. Everybody's got a file in their shop, so this should be pretty easy to figure out. Got the top tape off. There it is. I cannot express how much tension there is on this damn spring. Take your file out. And there, your spring assist is back on. Now we get to shove the shaft through and put everything else back together. So we're going to disengage this. Tip this up. We got room to shove that shaft through there. Pull this out a little bit more, just like that. There we go. So in order to get the wires up through the gearbox, thinking I'm going to tape them. Tape them in a straight line like this with just electrical tape, and then it should go up through everything a lot easier. It'll also protect all these sharp edges from going up through and catching. So that's going to be my idea. Otherwise, you could take a long needle nose or forceps and just kind of grab them and pull them up through, but I'm going to try the electrical tape. So we'll just do the wires like this. Doesn't have to be too fancy, because you're just going to be cutting it off in a few minutes anyway, but just make sure there's no sharp edges. Best you can do. Just like so. Let's try this. Straighten that out. This should go up in there pretty decent. Here we're going to take the groove for the lift assist, and we're going to line it up with that spring. So we're going to put this down. Slowly. Nice and easy. Shove everything up through. Pull this down, right up through. Okay, we got it through there. I'm going to set it down. I'm going to take the spring assist. We're going to lift this up. We're going to slide the spring assist right over the top. Like so. So, now we just keep, see it's on the floor now, so now I'll just keep putting it up through. Okay, we're not through this top piece yet, so I gotta take two hands to work on that. There we go. I put the spring assist over the top, just like that. Now we got to hook that spring assist up. Okay, so we're going to pull it down here. We're going to set this on my bench. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the spring assist down. We're going to attach the bottom portion, and then we're done with the spring assist, because that is the biggest pain in the butt of this whole job. So I'll be happy when I'm done with that. So let's I'll show you how that's done. Okay, we're just going to pull it down. I just got it setting on my workbench. Pull the spring assist down and make sure, see how these grooves are? Make sure that sits. It's only got one spot it goes, right down almost tight to your motor here. So pay attention to that. And this other half goes right in here, just like that. Now what I'm going to do, which you don't have to, but actually, you know what? This is staying pretty good. I think I'm just going to put a screw in it. you just put your 4 screws back in. And these are going to be more of a coarse threaded screw. They're going to screw into the plastic, so you don't want to over tighten them and strip them out. Prop a little bit. Get this last screw in. Alright, spring assist is back on. So you can see the spring goes up. All good. Now we can put it back up, lock it into place. Now we can go around, start hooking the wires up. So before we forget, we need to put the adjustable stop on the shaft before we put the head on. So that's what we're going to do now. Slide this puppy on there. Slide it down out of the way. Now we're going to put the head on. So put the head on. Got to line these 2 grooves up with the spring assist. Pretty simple. Here's the spring assist, so the head goes on this way. Pull out some excess. You just start fishing everything through. Go. Lined up, slides right on. Make sure all your wires are nice and free here, nothing's pinched. And you take your screw that goes through the shaft. So there's a nut that's in the plastic on the head here. And we're just going to tighten that up. Just snug that up and you're good to go. Now we'll just hook the wires up. Now when we hook the wires up, we're going to start with the red to red. And slide the blue sleeve over the top, like so. Black to black. Slide the blue sleeve over that one. Like so. And we're gonna wrap this one around underneath. Look at the ends. Make sure that we're gonna put it in correctly. Screw that together. That's for your transducer. Put that on in there out of the way. Now we're left with the one that has to put shrink tubing on it. So So we're going to take a 1/4 inch piece of string tubing. So 1/4 inch, we'll slide over this. I'm just going to get a length here real quick. I don't want it too long. Let's see. I'm going to cut this down a little bit. I'm going to slide it on here first. Like so. We'll hook this up, shove it in there nice and tight, and slide the shrink tubing back over it. Center it in the shrink tubing. Just like that. You just gotta put everything back in there, put all the screws back on, just like so. Put the 4 screws back in. Make sure it sits down in that groove good, which it is. I like to pinch it so I know it's in the groove. Just like that, she's all put back together. Now I gotta go put the side plates on. Side plates are pretty straightforward. And that's a number 3 Phillips head, so you don't strip them out. Okay, this concludes the video. This is Chad from Blueberry Ridge Outdoors, and that's how you replace a full gearbox in a Minn Kota Terrova autopilot trolling motor. If you like this video, click the like, smash subscribe, and follow us along for the next one. See where we're at. Hopefully we'll get to Devil's Lake yet this summer. So, all right, have a good one.